It's your host, Cash Money Morgan. You guys, it's been a couple months. It's been a time. Yeah, so it's going to be definitely an interesting episode. What I said earlier to myself, because I talk to myself all the time, is, a year and 4 months ago, I started this podcast. And just the amount of things that has happened in that amount of time is crazy. And the amount of growth that I've had in my life and like the things that I've changed in myself is, I think it's honorable mention. Like it's wild to me. And, I'm very grateful, and things are going to change for the podcast. There's going to be different recording situation and different looks and really cool, exciting new things. But no matter where the podcast goes or anything like that, I'm always going to be a chick behind a mic and a chick on a couch behind a mic. And no matter what happens, I want to be me, and I want to be vulnerable, and I want to be honest. And I think there's moments where sometimes I hold back because I'm trying to think of people's feelings or whatever. And, there's boundaries and privacy too, and certain things I don't want to share. But also, I'm like, okay, Morgan, you're gifted this platform, and chances are what you're going through someone else's too. And, it's worth sharing. And there's moments where like I don't want to share things because I'm embarrassed, or I don't want to feel weak or have my power down at all. But I think sometimes I'm like, shut up, it's not about you. It's like tell what's actually going on in your world. And I think that's why this episode, I felt weird about writing out a dialogue or the thoughts on it. And I just think, I've had some really great moments in the past couple months, and I've had some really, really low ones. And I don't ever sometimes want to come on here and just be like, my life sucks and this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But I remember when I used to do radio at Evangel, and I would get behind the mic at like 11:45, and there was just no one in the building. Man, and did I used to rant on that mic in those days. Like, oh, I was so unhinged. And I'm still unhinged and delusional. But I like to think it's more of a saturated, mature, unhinged and delusional. But I think this episode, I honestly want it to feel like, not like a therapy vibe, but I'm sitting here and I'm going to be deep, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to be real. And I feel like it's like I'm taking the mask off, which there is no mask. Let's be for real. I mean, maybe there's like an eye mask, but, I'm taking, my weapons down, and I want to, from me to you, just let's talk about what's life been like. Let's talk about social media. Let's talk about the dating and the struggles. Let's talk about what's going on. And so that's kind of, exciting. Let's get into it. Slay. I'm so cringe sometimes. Like, I know this. Like, I know. I'm whatever. I don't even care, to be honest. So there were actually a lot of cool things that happened the past few months. I went to a Bulls game. So I went to Chicago, and the drive was actually the worst thing in the entire world. It was supposed to be like a 7-hour, 40-minute drive. I'm the type of delusional queen that I thought it was the same distance from Springfield to Nashville that it is to Chicago. So I was thinking that it was like 7 hours. The day I went, there was like a tornado, a monsoon. I thought I was going to die on that highway. It took me like 9.5 hours to get there, and the weather was not good. We had a lot of fun though. We did some stuff, but ultimately we really came for like the Bulls game, and that was super cool. I've never been to a Bulls game, and it's fascinating because their stadium is just like in the middle of just some random neighborhood with some businesses. But it was cool. The stadium was honestly really quiet until they started winning, and it was against the Grizzlies. So it was honestly such a fun game to watch. And everyone, I have not been to Chicago since I was, maybe a freshman in high school. And so I couldn't remember if the people are kind of like people in New York, which I haven't been in New York, but you hear things that, people can be like pushy or in the city and mean. And everyone I encountered was very like reserved. And when I talked to them, they were just so nice. Everyone I met was so incredibly nice. And I was like, wow, okay, Chicago, like you guys are super sweet. Like, wow. So I did have a great time, but honestly, that weekend was very exhausting. But I'm just the type of chick, when it's my birthday, I have to get out of town. Like, I have to do some kind of trip to celebrate my birthday. And I don't know what it is, but it's got to be done. So we did that. And then I actually turned 24 and I had my birthday. And it was honestly one of the best birthdays. But another quirky thing about me is I always do a little birthday speech. And so I did one for my friends. We record it. And I basically go around and just say like what I love about them, or it's like, Jenna, we met 5 years ago, and I always cry, and like, I don't know, it's just some quirky thing I do, and it was so fun. And I always recommend to get a film camera on your birthday, like take those pics. Always have the flash on. We didn't, and some photos did not develop, but I'm very grateful for another year of life, and I'm very grateful for all the things like and the people that God have given me. I'm very, very blessed. And 24 it felt weird turning 24 though. And I know people are like, Morgan, shut up, you're so young. I know, but 24 is close to 25, and that's mid-20s. And I know I seriously do need to shut up, but 20, I don't know, because then when you think about it, you're like, dang, I turned 21 during COVID, and it's like, dang, that was like 3 years ago. That's crazy. Like, it's just, I think it puts it into perspective a little bit, but I don't know. I know time flies by and it's only the beginning. So that happened. And then I really just kind of got back to work and really started just grinding in my job. And obviously I started a new job. So it's a different industry a little bit for me. Like, it's still marketing, but it's learning more of the digital world. So I feel like I've been using so much brain power and hustling, because, you're learning a new industry, but also you want to be an expert in it, especially if you're in sales. So it's been a lot, and I'm trying to be, 100 all the time. And so my body is definitely, the podcast has probably taken a little bit of, there's videos not being uploaded and, whatever and blah, blah. But, you have to give yourself grace. Like, things are challenging, things are new. And that's something that I suck at, because I always want to do things that like have my name tied, or things that I'm, branded with or promote. Like, I want to be excellent at the things that I'm doing. And I think it's hard when you literally only have so many hours a day, and there's only so many capabilities you can do, that you're like, you know what? This might have to take a little bit of a backseat, and I'm trying my best. And so, yeah, so that's like a little bit of self-awareness, and I'm really liking like what the digital marketing world. And so but starting a new job is a lot. So I'm definitely just kind of spacing out my time, and it's nice to not really have distractions and just kind of focus on both the funnels. But I don't know, sometimes I'm like, dang, I'm 24. I got all this stuff going on. Like, I need to just chill. I need to be on a beach. Okay, sidebar, ADHD moment. If there is any like girly pop or someone who's trying to go travel with me to the beach, let me know. Like, I am a travel queen, and I just feel like everyone right now is busy or can't or whatever. And so if you're trying to go, let me know. Seriously, like, I'm just a travel bug, so be my friend. Yeah. May's been interesting. I quit the little waitressing thing I had going on the side. I just had too much on my plate. That was kind of sad, but I really needed some more sleep and just some more time. And yeah, exciting news. Keeping Up with Cash has... Okay, so another sidebar. So on the podcast party, when I rolled out my goals for the year, I rolled out, like, I want to be a part with nonprofits. I want to partner with communities and businesses in the Springfield area, or the world that I love and I believe in. I want to partner with brands that I wear, and like, we have the same vision, we have the same demographic and goals. And I'm so excited that it's happening. Like, it's actively happening. So I'm not going to release names and things like that of things, because I kind of want to roll some things out in a really cool way. But I am going to release one. Well, one, if you're on social media and you see some things I post, you probably have a really good idea. But one partnership I'm really excited to announce is I am now a partner with the Missouri State Football Fifth Quarter, which is a program that helps Missouri State football athletes basically, be equipped and get ready for jobs post-college, helps them try to find internships. And honestly, it's just an amazing program. And like, what different members of the community and business leaders are doing to help these guys is awesome. So just like everything that's going to happen this fall with the podcast and Missouri State and football is very, very exciting. And one of the reasons why I even got a seat at this table is shout out to my girl, Julia Spiva. She came to my podcast party and she witnessed everything. And she's, one of the first nights I was at this organization, she was like, you're here because of what you did there. And so I think there's moments where we get scared to take the chance. People aren't going to understand, why am I putting money towards this party? And I'm looking at the fruit of the opportunity because of that. And I'm very thankful and so excited for what this partnership, or getting athletes on the pod, and just kind of being in a room filled with different leaders in Springfield. So that's a partnership that I'm so, so excited about. And I've already gone to a few different events and met a lot of the team and coaching staff. So that is super cool. Yeah. Spiritually, it's a journey, it's a battle. There's a lot of great things that have happened and answered prayers that have happened on the side. But I think for right now in my life spiritually, I'm committed to a church. I love my church family. I have friends there. But I think there's sometimes these internal battles between me and God, and feeling like I know I should do this, but I'm struggling. My relationship with God is good. And it's just like right now, there's just some things I'm going through, and I just find myself a lot saying, look, man, I have no idea, and I don't know why this is happening, and, I get it and whatever, but, I'm trying to trust you. And like, sometimes that's like all I can say. And, I'm trying to be more consistent in reading the Bible and journaling. And that's something that like I used to journal a lot, and I somehow stopped, but it really does help me like flesh out my emotions. And then when I go back and read it, it really is affirming to read back at it. So I mean, I think like, at least in my own faith, it's a journey, but it's something that I know right now there's things I need to work on. There's recent things that have triggered up some old stuff, and I'm trying to figure out how to heal it without, I don't know. This is why I tried to call my counselor lady last week. Shout out to my queen. This episode, I want to be extremely transparent. Like, it's been an interesting go around, and if you're any of my neighbors, or you work out where I live, you understand it's been a little bit of like a frustrating time, and it's like for every hard thing that happens, like an amazing thing does, and I'm very grateful for God's blessing in that. But I think this episode, it's a journey, and it can be painful, but that means that we're growing. So to continue, dating in 2023, I don't even know why I threw this in here. And I think it's because I haven't talked about it in a few episodes because I've been avoiding it. Dating in 2023 is brutal. You're either married already and like found your person, or I don't even know. Especially being in Springfield. Like, it's like everyone at this point, we all know each other unless you have recently moved here, and you run into exes or people that you already know, or I don't even know. And in the spirit of full transparency, I know in the past year I've been really transparent about just my journey and like coming from the situationship lifestyle, and then moving to going on dates, hanging out with guys, being treated great, but I got to a point where I like wasn't feeling connection. And I'm grateful that I actually was able to feel numerous connections and get along really great with a couple of different guys. But unfortunately, I got ghosted twice. And this is something that like, where's the button? Yeah, it's like, the only reason that I'm sharing this is because, first of all, I never would share this ever. I don't want to let any man have any kind of power over me or be like, oh my gosh, Morgan's mad, like, bah. No, I'm sharing this because after I was going through it, one of my really good friends came at me with another story, and hers was way worse than mine. But it was nice to be able to kind of relate to each other in like a certain aspect, because we're like, dang, this is crazy. Like, why is this so common? But I'm grateful for both experiences, because I just felt like I really wasn't connecting with some guys on like different emotional, intellectual, goofy, funny levels. And I was able to do that. And so I'm very grateful. And like, I do wish the best for, these guys too, and whatever, and blah, blah, blah. But, something I've really accepted too is, first of all, this episode is so unhinged, bro. Like, this is where my therapist would come in. She'd be like, okay, 30 minutes is over. No, swipe my card, guys always come back. I don't know how it is for girls. I don't know what, from the guy perspective, like if a girl ghosts a guy, I don't know what that's like. But every dude that's ever like ghosted or like left me or whatever happened, they always come back, always. And one of these guys already did. He was trying to use me for something else. And it's just like the audacity. Like, you're tall, you're funny, you're hot. You think you can just come and go whenever you want. And it's something that's been a test for me, because old Morgan would be like, man, when you like physical touch and this guy's hot, let's do it. Like, he can come back. Like, it's fine. And now this like new Morgan is like, yeah, I feel like I shouldn't, and it's been a test, and it sucks because, you're like, man, nothing was wrong. Like, we got along so well, and now I have to have all this like self-respect, even though I don't want to. But whatever. And I think there's like different levels of ghosting too. Like, I think there's like the mild first date-ish ones, whatever, it does suck when it's a great first date. And then there's like the more serious ones where, like, one of them, we were talking for a minute, and you tell someone deep stuff, you connect, you're there for each other, whatever, and blah blah, and then all of a sudden one random Tuesday you just never hear from them ever again, and then all of a sudden you didn't exist. And that's what screws me up. I do not care if a guy does not want to date me. Like, there's 4 billion people in the world. Like, save me the time and effort. Like, I do not care. What I care about is respect. And it's kind of like, for me, I would personally never ghost, only because I'm trying to have a good networking connection. Like, maybe we can do sales in the future, and I'm not perfect. Like, I'm just saying I probably have ghosted people in the past, but it feels so inhumane. And then it's like, from a girl's perspective, you don't even care if the guy doesn't like you. You're just like, oh my gosh, did everything you said for X amount of time mean anything then? Is any of that valid? Because your actions in a flipped second just shows that, like, I no longer matter, and maybe I never did. And that sucks. And that's what hurts, honestly. And I think for me, like, I'm not the one who pursued first, like, why come into my life and shake it up and leave? And I think it's hard because it makes me not want to trust guys. It makes me not want to wear my heart on my sleeve and this and this. And so in the era of full transparency, there have been moments in these past couple months where, I've been dealing with like bitterness or anger. I bought golf clubs so I can just whack stuff. I am going to get good at golf though, like golf queen. You're going to the gym and all of a sudden you're going there because you need to fight off aggression. Your ping pong swings are hitting harder than ever. And it's, and I don't want to be the person that doesn't doesn't open myself up to men. I don't want to be that person that holds on to bitterness and is like a shrew and, isn't about it. Like, and so that's something that I know I have to emotionally work through. And I know that I have to get through it, and I think someone that's like a weird inspiration for me is Pamela Anderson, because she fell in love with her life and then he treated her wrong, so she left, and then she had like 1 million husbands after him. And, was she in love with all of them? Probably not. This and this. But she didn't stay in a situation when it didn't serve her. And she knew that it was like not healthy. And also she says too, like, you can be sad about it all the time, or you can choose to open yourself up to love and like be open in this and this. And so I'm grateful because I really enjoyed getting to know these different people. I'm like, dang, okay, like I connected and vibe with 2 different people when a year ago I would like, blah, 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 and I think there's like moments where you look for the positive, like, yeah, don't settle, you can find someone with this and this and this and this. And, but what I do know and what I am thankful for is, okay, I wasn't going to waste my time any longer. And also, the right guy would not let me slip through his fingers. The right guy is going to value me. And even though it sucked in the moment because I didn't think that that was the character, it's like, okay, well, they showed it. That's how they acted. So it's like, okay, move along, chop it up, on to the next, baby. Like, so that's the vibe. And stuff like that, like I would never show on social media or anything like that, like, oh, this is how I feel, like this is what I'm going through, like blah blah blah. But behind closed doors, like, yeah, like I'm not a chick that's like always unbothered. Like, no, it hurt my feelings and it sucked. And I get insecure about sharing that on the podcast because like you don't want to show weakness, like you don't want to show like, yeah, this is what happened, this is a common thing. It's not a common thing. And that's why it's like when it happens, you really got to be like, yo, you can't just come back to my life. To have access to me is a privilege, to have my time, like, especially when you're someone with like a hustle and a busy schedule, like your time is valuable. Do not let the wrong people waste it, but I'm the kind of person where it's like, I am going to give people a chance. I'm not going to, and so that's that. So it's brutal. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know if Springfield is the place for men for me, but honestly, I'm just taking life day by day and I'm just like doing me and just letting the good times roll and taking it like that. So I'm excited for summer. Again, like I said, looking for a beach buddy. Yeah. So a little bit more transparent as well, a little bit different though. This episode is not super girly pop. We're not talking about outfits. We're not talking about the local gossip or the tea. Like, I'm just talking about me and what's going on. And also, I want to encourage you that it's like, in that situation, old Morgan would not, would have just taken the attention, but new Morgan is like, yo, you know what? I want to be treated the way that I would treat someone. And that's not okay with me. That's not going to fly. And so, whatever it is, when it's in dating or whatever, and I actually listened to a different podcast and I heard this quote and it just resonated with me so much. And basically it was like, I would rather be alone and fight for the life I want than settle for fun little moments that could happen on the weekend, temporary fix that will only last a little bit. And I think, in a world where we constantly feel like we need to have someone around us, you don't want to go to dinner alone. You don't want to go to the beach alone. You don't want to do all these things alone. But it's like in a world where we're doing everything alone, it's almost like based on this podcast, it's like you're going to choose the future life you want and stick up for that versus the fun, quick hit that could happen from the weekend, from whoever. So that's where it's at. I encourage you. I don't know how your dating life is, but mine is currently inactive and it's a vibe. It's a vibe. I think right now I just summer's coming, here to buckle up, but there's moments where you gotta heal your head and your heart, So to transition a little bit to a little bit more of a quirkier, lighthearted vibe, let's just talk about the past week or two, which still have been rough. Okay, so last Friday, I was hanging out with some friends and my check engine light went on in my car. And then the D and drive was flashing. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's nothing I hate more than car problems. That's a lie. Probably Crocs. I don't like Crocs. I don't like eyeballs. I don't like roller coasters. I don't like the name Cheyenne. I don't know. But there are just like a few things I don't like more than car problems. I hate car problems. But luckily my car's a Honda, and Honda is the best. Like, Hondas are the best cars, seriously. So anyways, I took my car to like a free car clinic or whatever, and they diagnosed it. They like ran their little machine, and the guy's like, yeah, girl, your transmission's blown. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't even know what that means. And he's like, okay, basically it's gonna cost like $4,500. I'm sitting there, I'm like, bro, what? $4,500 is like a small surgery or like a nice little trip to Europe or like a flight. I mean, can you imagine when you could do it $4,500? So I'm like, my car's not even worth that. Like, she's got a lot of miles. She's got a dent in the front from when I was going through it. I was like, oh my gosh. But my dad's like, okay, get a second opinion. I'm like, okay. I took it to Honda. Again, Honda's the best. They shuttled me to work. They're a vibe. Shout out to the Pinnaker Honda family. Love you guys. Everyone there is great. Shout out to Brad. Brad's the greatest. So I go there and I get a call at work, and I'm thinking it's going to go one of two ways. They're like, okay, your car is done for, which I had mentally prepared. I was like, okay, I'll find a new used car. You know, she's going to be a bad little whip. Like, you know, this could be good. She'll have no dents in it. I'll have a car payment. My car will pay off. Like, mentally, I was okay. Like, I was like, okay, all right. It was going to go that way, or it was going to be a completely different car problem, and it was going to cost a different amount. So I didn't know what to expect. So I get this call, and the guy just starts talking to me, and he's saying all this stuff, and he's like, $400. And I'm like, I don't even know what you said. I said, what's wrong with my car? I don't even know what you said. He was like, oh, rodents ate your wiring. I said, what? That's what went off in my brain. I'm sorry, come again? He goes, yeah, some rodent got into your car, like in the car engine, and ate all your wiring and was starting to get into the transmission wiring. A rodent? You're telling me I attract rodents? I was like, okay, well, in a weird way, this kind of checks out. But I'm like, what? That's crazy. So, you know, I tell him, I'm like, dude, do whatever you gotta do. I was also thankful because $400 to fix that is way less than a transmission problem or a new used car. So he fixes it. I'm like, okay, I get in the car. The car doesn't like drive amazing, but I was like, okay, it's fixed, whatever. I literally go home, park my car in the parking garage, go to bed, wake up, go to work for like an hour or two, go to a networking event, and I leave the event and the lights go back on. And I'm like, what? So I call my boy Brad up. I'm like, yo, Brad, the lights are back on. He's like, that's crazy. Okay, bring her in on Friday. We'll get it figured out. I'm like, okay. Same old thing. Shuttle, car, whole situation. I get a call and I'm thinking, okay, this time for sure the transmission is blown. I'm like, okay, it's got to be something crazy. He calls. He's like, you're never going to guess what happened. The rodent came back and he ate your wires again. That is literally what was going on in my brain. But like I said earlier, they always come back. Always. And so what did I do? I made a lifestyle change. Bro, I feel like I'm in church right now. No, I made a lifestyle change. I bought rodent repellent. I bought rodent repellent spray. I bought rodent traps. The glue kind, be so for real. I'm not trying to use a real trap. But I bought all these things to repel these rodents so that they would leave me alone. And plus I did a test. I was kind of figure out where it was coming from. Turns out it was coming in from my work. And I mean, there's a million factors. Turns out Honda, I guess, coats their wiring in like canola oil or some weird, which rodents love. But finally, I'm like 4 days rodent free, baby. So that was crazy. But it's a blessing that like my car's fixed now, but like what? That's so weird. So yeah, so that happened. And yeah. And, so I mean, I look back on the past few months and it's like, okay, we got partnerships. My car had a situation. Oh my gosh, downtown went out of power one night. You know, new job, new opportunities, new people, all these things. But, you know, I mean, like, and this is the part that I want to talk about with social media is social media is a highlight reel of all of our lives. we're posting the exciting moments, us looking good. I'm getting more into like modeling stuff. I love fashion. I love that. And I've been trying to take it more seriously. And, so I post stuff like that, portfolio type stuff, whatever. What I'm not posting is the moments where I'm like, yeah, I'm surrounded by a million friends and like have tons of people, but I like will feel so alone. And it's not in the sense where it's like, oh, I'm lonely, I'm single. That's not how I feel alone. It's like, dang, I just be alone. And I know I'm not, like, I have God, but it's like, it's like a mindset thing. Man, this episode, you're probably bored out of your mind. But this is, like I said, this is like therapy vibes. This is me being unhinged and real. I'm 24, and there's that quote where it's like, how come I knew more at 18 than I did at 21? And that's how I feel, is I'm 24. I got so much going on. I just think there's these expectations. People are like, well, when's the next pod party? Well, you gotta make it bigger. You gotta make it better. You gotta do this. I don't even know how to file my taxes this next year, like with having like an LLC. Like there's so many moments where it's like, you have to give yourself grace, especially when you have a hustle too. And no one is your worst critic or your worst enemy or your biggest competition than yourself half the time. Back to the social media though, I've had just so many conversations with good friends recently, and I've opened up and been like, yo, like there's just moments where I really struggle with like feeling alone, and I could be in a crowded room, I could be doing all these things, but I feel so alone. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if sometimes it's like because I live far away from my family, or sometimes I just feel like people just like come and go. I don't know where that comes from, but I think it's just, I don't know. It's something that I struggle with, and it's something that, I work with God with and whatever. But if I'm being honest, like, it's like I'm lost at 24. There's things that I don't know. There's moments where I'm like, I need guidance. I'm frustrated. I don't understand. And I don't put any of that on social media. And I don't know. Social media can be such a dark place too. Like I just don't trust all that stuff. And your algorithm too. TikTok, there's moments where I just like can't even be on it because everything will be about like depression or this and blah, blah. And I'm constantly like, well, dang, I just feel so much worse about myself. Or comparing yourself to someone else who's 24. Well, oh my gosh, well, their podcast is blown up and they're in LA and they're in this and they're in this. And it's like, there's moments where I just want to enjoy the little things in life and be like, you know what? Like, I'm fine where I'm at. I'm healthy. For the most part, I'm happy. Maybe not this month, but there's so much to be grateful for. And like in this podcast, I discussed the struggles that I've had with dating in the past few months, just a lot of like, my car stuff, like some other mental stuff, just these challenges. And some of you guys might have never even known that if it wasn't for this podcast, but I just, there's so much that people don't know what's going on with other people's lives. And I had a conversation with a really good friend of mine, and we were just talking about stuff, and I just thought her life was perfect. And obviously that's being naive, but like there were elements of her life that I just thought there would be no issue in that certain area. And she started opening up to me, and I'm always grateful when someone is opening up to me. And she just said, she was like, I literally had to stop posting on Facebook because I felt like I was being so inauthentic because I was only posting the good moments of my life. And that's so real. I just think there's moments in social media where we forget that like we're all humans and we're going through things and we feel some type of way, and materials will not always bring you joy. Relationships can hurt, things change, and I think the biggest thing that is just like, for me, is it's going to be okay. It is what it is. Don't force anything and take one thing at a time, breathe. And, and there's moments like this episode for me. No, it's not the most exciting episode in the world. It's not the most girly pop. Obviously I'm still unhinged and delusional, but I wanted to be open up about like, hey, like this is what's been going on. I want to stay consistent in the podcast, but like, to be straight with you, I probably wasn't even feeling to record this week just because I felt so crappy, and I just feel like I don't know if what I have really brings anything to the table this week, you know. But I know that it's like, when those rodents came back, bro, when the rodents came back, and then like the other rodents came back, I think that was such a growing thing for me. And it's like, you know what? You're going to go through hard times. You're going to get past it. And then you are going to have growing pains. And once you're out, all of a sudden, what? You got taller, you got longer legs, like you're more muscular. You're going to be stronger because of it. And I have to believe that. And I mean, the lies that come into your brain where it's like, you're not good enough. You're not thin enough. You're not happy enough. You don't have enough friends. You're not successful enough. You're not this. You're not that. You're alone. You don't have any friends. And it's like, don't let those things stay. Do not let those things have rule in your life. Those are just toxic thoughts that are coming from the devil or whoever else. I don't even know where, you know, it could come from the negative side of social media, whatever. Do not let that rule your life. And it's something that I personally struggle with every day. And so I know that I think these past few months I've been posting a lot of cool stuff on social media and just my life, you know, like the Bulls game, the new MSC football partnership, my new job, modeling stuff. Like there are so many cool things going on, you know, but behind the scenes, this past month has been a hard one for me. And this wouldn't be Keeping Up with Cash. It wouldn't be the podcast that I want if I wasn't going to be honest and authentic about it. So yeah. So I want to encourage you that, you know, if you're someone in 20s are hard, but I'm sure your 30s and 40s and 50s are hard too. It's going to be okay. I love you. You know, you're filled with purpose. You matter so much, and it's going to be okay. You know, like, and social media is dumb. I mean, people are constantly changing to look like what they think is beautiful and doing whatever, and don't let that culture tell you how to live your life. So, oh man, you guys, if you made it this far, you should get like a gold medal. I'm sorry that this episode might not be what you wanted, but it's really what I could provide. Oh my gosh. Let me say this though. Y'all, let me say this. We got some really cool things on the way. And I know I always say stuff like that, but I never actually tell you what it is. Because I want to roll it out in a really cool way. But I want to tell you, I do got other partnerships. I really do. And my friend and I have been working on podcast designs. We have 1 out of 3 that are done for merch. And it looks insane. I'm so excited. The merch is going to be so different. It's going to look like, it's not something you're just going to buy on Etsy. You know, it's something that's, you're buying a brand, to be honest. And that's the brand that we're making. So I love you guys. And I'm in my growing pain era, you know? I mean, this is, the cool thing about the podcast is like, if you really have listened from episode 1 to now, I think you've heard me grow and change. I think you've heard me adapt. And the truth is no one's going to know what it's like to walk in your shoes. No one's going to know how you felt. No one's going to know what you've been through. And people are quick to give their opinions or how they feel. But it's like, you know, it doesn't hold weight for me. Your opinion doesn't hold weight for me until you've been in my shoes or you're like in my inner circle and I'm asking, you know? And so live your life and do the things that work and are best for you. You owe that to yourself. You deserve it. Okay, well, I love you guys. Thanks for keeping up. This episode is very interesting as a solo pod. Oh, man. But I want you to know that I love you and I care about this podcast. And even though sometimes it's more fun than other times, you know, I'm here and I showed up. And I'm pouring out what I got. So I hope this affected you in some way. Like I said, if you enjoy the episodes, if it did impact you, please text me. I love seeing them and I love it's helpful to be reminded that like the hard work you put in is really making an effort. So, okay, well, stay fresh, play lots of ping pong, wear lots of streetwear, keep on slaying, and remember to respect yourself and literally kill the rodents. Okay, bye.